Mr. Sena.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
How's man?
Welcome
Yeah.
and welcome. So, welcome to the series that we're calling the MOTI Masterclasses, where this is really a platform where I'm engaging with industry experts who've been in the game. And Mr. Karabo is one who's been in the game, doing the things at SAMRO for a minute. I mean, it's been a pleasure working with him as well. And we've been colleagues, brothers, and it's a pleasure to
Yeah.
have him on this platform. So first and foremost, thank you for making the time to be here, fam.
Pleasure, man. Yeah.
Yes,
Until you
and
left the CMO space, right?
yeah.
And you put the A&R space.
Yes and yes. We had to switch it up a little bit. 2020, 2021. We had to
Nah,
switch it up.
nice, nice, nice,
Yes
nice.
and yes. So I would like to, so I always start off just saying this, the purpose of this is to really um, to educate our industry because I think it's evident that we have a lot of gaps in the industry and it's due to lack of education. And I
Sure.
know we've got creatives. The creatives are there. We've seen them. They do their thing. They're making dope
Yeah.
music. But now it's almost we need to groom a new group of people who are business minded.
Yeah.
So that the
Yeah. Yeah.
creators continue doing their thing. So we don't actually bog the minds of the creators who aren't interested in the business at all. They just want to create. Whereas there should be a group of people we need to really put up their hands and to say, listen, we want to understand the business and the things that need to happen. So this is the purpose of these platforms, fam. So again, thank you for sharing the time and sharing the knowledge that you have.
No, it's a pleasure, man. I think, it's really an interesting concept that
Mhm.
you are only actually creating it now because for an industry that has been in existence for I don't know however many years,
It's
right? I
crazy.
mean, SAMRO is turning 61 this year. I mean, sorry, 60 this year. Like
Yeah.
seriously, it's turning 60 this year, and to think that there's nothing that is consolidated that even a new member or a creative can actually go to and say, okay,
At all.
fine, what are the basics that I need
Hmm.
to understand.
Exactly.
I know there's one or two books that have been written about the South African industry, but listen, I
We
speak to a
don't
lot of
read.
creatives. They'll tell you you're
I've,
not right. Listen, buddy. Like, listen, buddy. If you want me to, sort of take in something,
yes.
put it in something that is visual, easy
Hmm.
for me to get a hold of,
Thank you.
and the information must be like literally crisp and straight to the point.
That's
It's
it.
not about this. Yeah. So I think I actually compliment you for this initiative because I
I
think a lot of
appreciate.
people will gain a lot of value from it. And the value
Hmm.
for me is all about not just the young guys, because I think
Yeah.
there's too much focus there. A lot of the people that have been even in the industry for many years
Hmm.
still ask the basic questions where you're
The
like, well,
basics.
how
People
is it
these
that,
are established artists,
yeah,
established
yes,
acts.
like, of course, like, how is it that you are so and so, but you still don't understand how royalties are calculated, for
You don't even know
example?
what royalties are.
So
You don't even know the royalties even.
yeah, so that's where we need to actually sort of pitch this. It's not just about the upcoming acts. We also
Hmm.
have an element of saying no, there are also people that are currently in the industry and making it, but they still
Yep.
don't understand this concept, and it's important for
Absolutely.
everyone to understand it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I guess, we just have an industry where everything is working because all the parts need to work. And the
correct.
reality is the parts aren't all working. And it's due to, as I said earlier, that lack of information. Like people just don't know. There's nothing that joins the dots that says, okay,
Yeah,
I've signed at SAMRO, I need to do Capasso or I need to do SAM.
correct.
There's nothing that joins the
Correct.
dots. Someone just comes to SAMRO and they think I'm done.
I'm done.
Like
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
we really need to shed
Yeah.
light
But I'm
on
sure
things.
we'll get into that as we go along. Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
I'm ready to kick this off. And I mean, I think first and foremost is I'd just like to just introduce yourself. You can give a little
Sure.
backstory and then just touch on what is SAMRO and how does it differ from the other CMOs? Because there's often a lot of confusion, I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what does the different CMOs do? So let's start with that, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, on my side, I'm Karabo Sena, the general manager who deals with membership. from the SAMRO side.
Yes,
And I think what is interesting is that I haven't always been in the music industry, so
Okay.
I've been at SAMRO for about just over 3 years or so. But, the good thing is that I've always been in the people side of the business, wherever I've been.
And that is the business.
And that's the business, I always tell people that SAMRO is just a piece of paper registered at CIPC somewhere, just like any other business.
Yes.
The value, is in the people, be it the employees, be it the members themselves, but that's where the value is actually.
Amen.
So we all need each other in this industry. So from my perspective, I've always been in the people business, and obviously this aligns nicely because there's a passion of helping people and making sure that, listen, we add value as best as we can.
Yes.
And I think where SAMRO comes into this space within the music space, as much as it's always been there. I mean, it's the oldest, firstly, CMO in South Africa. And one of the big things is that it's also the biggest CMO in Africa.
Wow.
Even in terms of earnings, so revenue. So, and I think sometimes we don't know those facts, but we need to know that we are actually leading the African continent when it comes to this.
That's a powerful position to be in.
The issue is, will we always be there, or are we doing it correctly? Because I think we always think about it at SAMRO to say, listen, guys, there's also a bigger perspective, in what we do. That's why we try, at our utmost to say, let's do things that other CMOs can, within the African context, can also grab on and say, wow, that seems to be working. Let's actually start doing that, because being the biggest also requires you to be sensitive to the parts that other people are also observing what you're doing.
Correct.
So that's where we are. And I think one of the biggest things, firstly, is that the industry in South Africa has tried to come together. So before I explain what SAMRO does and Karabo and all the works, you would notice that SAMRO sits in the same building with Karabo.
Correct.
Right? And the same building as SAMRO.
Yeah,
right?
we were all there together.
And that has never happened before. You know what I mean? And I mean that's progress to say, listen, for somebody who wants to get access to these, players, now it has become a bit more easier. We understand, yes, it's still centered in Gauteng, where you have to go to Braamfontein, but the point is, it's one stop. But as well, for these parties to work together, it becomes easier, because now it's like, okay, I just have to walk to the next floor to go to the other guy.
One floor up, next floor up.
Exactly, yes. Excuse COVID, but anyway, we'll come back to a point where, it's easier to do that. But just getting back to what SAMRO is. So SAMRO, I mean, like I said, this year, SAMRO will be turning 60.
Hey.
And, I think by December, that's when it turns 60, So
hopefully hopefully things have calmed down by then. We can have a party.
I hope so.
Party after party.
Party or something. So SAMRO stands for the Southern African Music Rights Organization, right? So what people might not know as well is that SAMRO currently collects, it's still, meant to collect for Lesotho and the territory of Lesotho and Swaziland, because there's no CMOs in those territories. Right?
Okay.
So it's not just South Africa in itself, but those ones. But obviously South Africa is the biggest one, So what SAMRO is focused on, SAMRO's focus is on a performing right, what we call a performing right. So simply, this is whenever music is broadcast to the public, right? So this normally would happen via radio, TV, or when you go to cinema, or you are watching a live concert, or you're sitting at a restaurant eating, or you are at a store, whatever you might think of, doing your groceries, wherever there's music being broadcast to people, in there is what we call a performing right. So that is a very important concept, because people often think that there can only be one right at a time. Like no, there is copyright, but within that copyright, we then split it, to say there is a publishing component, like a composition component,
Correct.
and there's a recording component, which people normally talk about masters and all those sort of things.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but where we fall in, we fall under the copyright in the composition. So in there is that element that we call a performing right, and that's broadcasting, right?
Yes.
And then where we look at now, the next one there, just so that maybe we don't leave it, is where we have the capasso, which represents the mechanical, and that is the reproduction. So anytime music is played, I'm sure we all know when you stream music, you're not streaming the original. So it's been reproduced at that time. So that's why there is those two rights can exist at the same time, right? So, but from a SAMRO perspective, that's what we focus on. And I think it's important to say that from a revenue stance, because numbers are important in this industry, because that's something that is lacking often. SAMRO has a revenue of around about 500 million rands, in which there's in the region of about 350 is actually distributed to members, as royalties. And this is over 20,000 members. So we have 20,000 members that would receive these distributions, obviously in different types of payments. Yes, some much higher than the others, but the essence is that, that's the membership base. And while I'm just at that point in membership, because I know this is one thing that will come through whenever somebody watches this, is that there's different levels to membership at SAMRO. So you start off somewhere. The first point that you start off with is that you are a prospect member, right?
Okay,
so
what does that mean?
Prospect member is simply, Munya comes through, he says, you know what, I think I'm a dope composer, so I'm going to register. He just fills out the, the registration form, notifies his works, and then he submits the documents. At that point, what we are doing there, we are doing something very important, even though some people might not think about it. We take in that particular registration. By us saying you're a prospect member, we have then created what we call an IPI. So it's literally interested party information. So what this is your ID number in the music industry.
Okay.
Right. So
yeah.
So from a and it's not just something for SA. It's throughout the world. So
global.
In the music industry, it's global. This is your ID number. So any payments of royalties, your song might be playing in Germany. This is how these guys know. Oh, we are paying the correct person. That's your ID number.
Correct.
So SAMRO does that for you immediately at that point, which is quite important. People don't think about it. Just like, I'm a prospect member. These guys are not doing anything. Like, no, we've already done that for you. That's the thing. Yeah. So then after that, we wait for you to earn. So meaning we will obviously, whatever you've notified, notification means that you've registered your music. We obviously check our usage to see if we've got any of your songs playing anywhere. Once you've earned more than either 100 rands or more, then SAMRO then just puts you into the next level, which is an associate member.
So from prospect, you move to an associate.
Prospect, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're an associate, nothing really changes. There's just one big thing that changes. So everything else stays the same, besides this one thing. Firstly, yes, you start to earn, right? Yes. But the big thing that I'm referring to is that the social benefits start to kick in at that layer. Right? And it's a very important thing, because then we'll touch more on it probably as we go, but that's where you have the funeral cover there, and then you also have the retirement annuity fund, which we'll talk about. So those start to kick in there, and then the last layer is where you can become a full member. A full member, very simplistically, we look at three things, very simple. Just to say, how long have you been a member? So that's tenure based. The next one is how many works you've registered. So obviously encouraging people, register your works.
Keep on registering, notify.
Just register your works, yes. And then the last one is obviously from an income perspective to say, okay, for you to get specific weighting. There's different bands. If you've earned so much within 3 years, this is your weighting. If that's all. And tenure as well works in the same way. If you've been a member for 5 years, you get so many points. If you've been a member for so many years, you get so many points. Number of works works in the same way. You have 100 works, so many points. So it's very straightforward.
Okay, no, that makes sense to me. I think from what you shared, and this has been very informative and it's great for everyone to know. I think, can we backtrack? We've been backtrack a bit where we've been mentioning members. I think let's talk, who are your members specifically? Because I know people, we talk about composition rights and that, but what is composition rights and who are your members? And then we actually can flow into, and what are the, and we can even go into what are the benefits as well. From a SAMRO perspective, what are member benefits? So let's tie that in together. Yeah.
Yeah. So our members are essentially the people that created the work. So specifically, we are referring to the composers of the work. Yes. So the guys that composers, like the person who created the instruments, the actual melody / the instrumental aspects that you hear about the song.
So like a producer. That's another word, I guess.
Because the problem is that in the industry, when we say producer, I can come with something that is, let's say I know how to play piano, right?
Cool.
And I come through and I create this fantastic beat. And I bring it to you, Munya, as a producer, to say, listen, dude, obviously add your sauce, because you're known to be that guy.
Add the sauce.
So you wouldn't, unless if I see it that you've added something, from an artistic perspective, something new to the work, you wouldn't be deemed as a composer of the work. If you just sort of just made it, I don't know, just sound better. You wouldn't be deemed as that. The real composer is the person that actually created the song from scratch. That's the composer.
Understood.
And up until, unless you add as a composer, as a producer, it's possible. You could go in there and, the guy literally says, nah, guys, let's take this out. Let's add this. Obviously, now the guy's helping you to compose. That's a different thing now. Now this person is not just a producer, but they're a composer of the work as well.
They're adding to it now.
They're adding to it. They're a lot more artistic, sort of like additions are being considered there.
Beautiful.
So that is what, when we say a composer, that's the individual that we're referring to. And then I think the next one is much more simpler. This is the writer. So the writer is in relation to the lyrics. So if a song has lyrics on it, somebody's singing, the writer, not the singer, the writer, because sometimes those are two different people.
Correct.
So our focus is on, who wrote those lyrics. It doesn't mean it's one person, there can be multiple. I'm going to tell you something. I know of a song that has about 40-something rights holders on one song.
Guys.
How the heck?
How? That's what even someone just on the song. I want my rights. Okay. But 46 though. That's anyone who just sneezed on the track. I want my percentage.
I want my cut. It's an international song.
Fam, one of the things that I also find is that people in Africa especially, I still feel that we still have this misconception. I feel that if you don't write it's almost like people feel if you don't write your own things, you're not a real artist. And I feel that so that's why it ends up, there's this, I actually feel it's nonsense where now like performing artists make these songwriters sign NDAs because it's like, no one must know that you wrote it. And that's something I feel we honestly need to get over that. As a continent.
We need to get over that, So just before I touch on that, just to mention the last type of members, the publishers, right?
Yes.
So I've got a simple acronym for people to remember. I always say CAP, like CAP, CAP. So composer, author, publisher, right? So that's a simple way for you to remember CAP. Those are the members that we represent, right? But coming back to your point, I really think that it's a challenge where you find, artists want to write their own song, but I can tell you something. Look at the international songs. We have the privilege of seeing. So even if you see Beyonce singing a song, Like, if you see the amount of people that are
Like
on
14. At least like you can have
yes,
14 writers over on a track.
yeah,
So why do
correct.
we?
You
I don't
know,
know where that, and I don't know how to break that or how to shift
yeah,
that mindset to say like, guys, this is part of the business. Because ultimately, when you become a
correct.
big enough brand like a Beyonce, you honestly don't have the time to be just writing songs
Yeah,
where you need songwriters to kind of give you some sauce and then obviously you add yours on top of it. But
correct.
so that's why we need to understand that that is I guess that's the journey of an artist. You actually don't want to be writing
Yeah.
songs at some point.
No, no, no. And I think from a creative perspective,
Yes.
you need to realize that yes, you are good,
Yeah.
but you know what? There's always somebody else that can come up with something very different and that you
Amen.
might like. That you
Mm-hmm.
might like. So so
Mm-hmm.
so that is why we say that there's a lot of writers. I mean, SAMRO
Mm-hmm.
has just over 100,000 members in its database, right?
Mm.
Yes, 80,000 of those are prospects. But I can tell you, all those people, there are so many writers there. So that already tells you a story to say,
Yeah.
gee, guy, how many writers are there for you to tap into? How many
Mm.
composers are there for you to tap into? It doesn't have to be the same old people.
It
Yes,
doesn't.
after that, you can take it to that composer guy that knows how to fine tune the thing,
Cool. Yeah.
and he will help you then get into that level. But
Correct.
creativity, don't always just use the
And then
same old, or just
you end up,
yourself.
it becomes monotonous. It ends up sounding the same, actually. Because, I mean, naturally, as human beings, as in if I'm doing the same, eventually you'll hear that, this is a Munya beat. It sounds like Munya's beat. And then
Correct.
you need, creativity is about collaboration as well. And I think we
I
need to
agree.
really,
I agree.
we need to open that
Yeah.
up to people a lot more.
Yeah.
So,
So just your last point, sorry, man, in terms of
no
the
worries.
benefits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
think from a member perspective, like I said, that when you're a prospect, yes, fine, there's no benefits as yet. But
Mm.
once you become a social member, so an associate member, this is now for associate and full members. They both have the
Yes.
same benefits, right? The only difference is that when you're a full member, you can stand to be a board member of SAMRO. That's the only difference.
Mm.
So that's the difference between an associate and a full member. Besides that, all of them are the same.
Nice.
So once you are an associate or full member, you automatically get a family funeral cover. So meaning covers you and your spouse, and I think up to 3 kids, right?
Okay.
So we pay up to 25,000 rands. Be it any of those people, unfortunately pass on, we pay that so we can help the family. But I think much more progressively as well is that SAMRO has, we call it SHREF, the SAMRO
Okay.
Retirement Annuity Fund.
Uh-huh.
So this is a separate company. So this is not even just SAMRO. So
Yes.
SAMRO sets it up and it's a separate entity. It has its own board
Okay.
and so forth, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, I know a lot of people might not know this,
Mm-hmm.
funds under management are about 280 million rands. Like,
218 million.
it's interesting. Wow, people have actually saved up that much. And, the fund has about 10,000 members and sits at about 280 million rands. And what's important there, though,
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that musicians need to know that a time will come when they have to retire.
Correct.
I mean, everybody has to
Everyone
acknowledge
does.
that.
It's not just musicians, that's
Everybody.
just business, that's in general. We all have to at some
Yes.
point put up our hats.
Yeah. You might still be creative and whatever, but you might not want to do it in the same pace. So
Correct.
this vehicle assists you so that as you're earning your royalties, SAMRO is constantly contributing on your behalf.
Mm.
So come the time when you have to retire, there is a pot, that you can tap into besides your other savings that
Yes.
you can say, you know what, whoa, my 40 years of being in the creative industry, here's some money that I'm getting out of it. So
Hey,
that's also a very positive end to it, that we
without a
often
doubt.
see. Yeah, so those are the key benefits that SAMRO offers. I mean, besides the normal functions that CMO would do in terms of making sure your music is registered and
Mm-hmm.
globally it's recognized, and making sure that wherever your music plays, we can ensure that the money comes through and we pay to you as a
That's the
royalty.
important thing. Absolutely. That's the
Yeah.
important thing. It's so important for the creatives to to be able to get the money to reinvest in their craft, to just actually grow. That's so important. Okay, no, beautiful. I think that was a great explanation. And I mean, it made sense to me. I actually learned a few things just now, actually. So that's, you learn something new every day. So I just want to also talk about a bit the performance royalty now a bit. Like, can we talk a bit more to the performance royalty? Like, I know you shared that performance royalties sit under one of the rights, which is the composition rights. Can we just discuss, so where do you collect this performance royalty from? And also, I mean, you also mentioned that sometimes like you license people, so you grant permission for people to utilize the performance royalty, and then you collect those royalties, you give to the right holder. So where do you collect these places? Where do you collect from? Just so people also understand. And in some instances, I believe, yes, there's joint licenses where you and Capacity come together because.
Yes.
Can we touch on those points?
Okay, so it's important for us to, because it's an important question to say, where does the money come from, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of creatives, that's the question actually that's often asked.
It's always the money.
Yeah, it's like, okay, fine. Why am I not paid, such a number? Mm-hmm. So once you understand where the money comes from, then you are able to logically follow this thing. So, like you correctly said that. SAMRO would go and license for a performing right, and the major players or licensees in the space would be firstly broadcasters. So this is public and private. So public, I'm referring to the SABC, and private, like your private radio stations, and then as well as TV as well, public and private. So private, the big players, I'm referring to the SABC, and then private one like multi-choice, like DSTV, right? Those are the big ones. And then afterwards, then you have something, besides your sort of broadcasters, then you have a much more focused sort of, and you will see it's aligned to our distributions as well. Like cinema, where, any place that uses music, obviously a lot of movies, actually there's no movie that doesn't have music. Correct. So that, and don't forget, there's even ads now. When you watch a movie, there's ads beforehand. So somebody, there's a license for that. And then you also, whenever you're doing your groceries or anything of that sort, there's music playing in the background, because that's why you stay in that store for longer, pushing that trolley, when you're, clothing stores, there's a vibe.
Elevators, even, I guess. Even in elevators.
Exactly. If I want people to come and young kids to buy sneakers, there's a certain vibe, I play the track in the background, it attracts you, so that's the lesson.
Yeah.
So the point is, if any business or institution that is using music and broadcasting it has to essentially pay a license. That's the crux of it. It can be anything you can think of. It's like, even if you're sitting somewhere, there's a company, the canteen, there is music, they have to actually pay a license. So those are the licenses that we collect. Now, something I have to add it here because it's important, because I know a lot of the people that I'm going to be speaking to are going to be DJs. There's also a DJ license, right?
Thank you, actually. That's actually, because I remember being a capacitor, that came up a lot. People be like, we hear there's a DJ license, but thank you actually for bringing this up.
There's also a DJ license. So essentially, as a DJ, you are like a mini broadcaster. That's the problem that people don't want to admit to. Because yes, you go to these gigs, you are doing your thing, you're having fun, but yes, you are also broadcasting, and it's not always your music. So therefore, that is why you need to pay that license, because it's added into the distributions. Now, how do we add it in? Because this is where it comes from.
Yeah.
Whenever we talk about an RNG, radio in general, that general component that we talk about, that is where we bring in all these restaurant licenses and all those, and then we obviously statistically compare them to the radio station sort of usage, so that we can distribute more equitably towards everyone. So that's essentially what happens. And that's why it's important for people to pay these licenses so that the actual creators of that music, even if you're a DJ, I'm sure you respect the people that created that music.
Absolutely.
So that's why you want to pay that license. You say,
yes.
you know what, I'm using your music to go out there and do my thing. Therefore, I respect you. That's why I want to pay that license, you know? So that's where all of this comes from. And I think the big part, and this is where the industry is going to, where we partner with other fellow CMOs like Karabo, for example, to then create an offering to obviously, the market or industry to say, listen, instead of you speaking to somebody from SAMRO and Karabo, here is one license that makes your life easier. And this license gives you obviously MR and PR. And to be honest with you, this is really where the future is going, because business wants simple. It's like, listen, guys, I don't want to be speaking to that guy.
Too many, just one line, just give it simplified, streamlined.
They don't understand this thing. They think about it. You're trying to run your own business somewhere, creating pots or something, or you are doing something. But they're like, but guys, yes, I'm paying a bit of music, but I have to understand that there's a Karabo, there's a SAMRO.
Hey, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, give me one license, I'll pay it, and done. So if we want composers, writers, and publishers to get their share of what's happening out there, that is the future, and that's currently what we are doing, especially when it comes to the digital space, because this is where the world is leaning to. So we need to try to create an offering to these DSPs that shows that, listen, guys, we don't have to go and speak to different guys. We are unified in terms of what we're doing.
We're moving. And just for anyone who just heard, so just to define, just MR is a mechanical royalty and PR is performance royalty. Just so anyone who didn't understand those abbreviations.
Sure.
Awesomeness. No, okay, that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. And then with regards to payments now, like this is more, how frequently can someone expect payments to happen from SAMRO? And I mean, and if it's possible, I'd also like to know the range in terms of the payouts you've seen too, just because I think people don't understand the value when you're a composer or an author, what you can potentially earn as being that kind of creative. Yes, please, if you could share those things, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's always the interesting bit of this part of the job. So from a distributions perspective, we call them distributions, they're different payments, right? The easiest place for SAMRO is when you go to the SAMRO website and then you go to schedule. There's a tab at the top, schedule, boom, it gives you all our distributions. We have on average run about every year about 25 to 26 distributions every single year, right?
Okay.
So, but the challenge, however, is that it doesn't mean that a composer or writer would earn on every single one. For example, we have let me just go through it here and just give you a few examples that are key. If you have like cinema, not everyone has music playing on a movie or an advert on in cinema.
Correct.
So you can't say expect a royalty from me, right? That's straightforward. Live. Some people are just writers of music. Maybe that works for production music. So meaning production versus commercial. That means commercial is more like your radio.
What you hear on radio, the music videos.
Like I don't know, Lady Zama, DJ Tira. It's a song.
Those are commercial songs.
Those are commercial stuff. Production music is more like music that actually sets the mood. So a signature tune, SABC Mzansi for sure, or something.
It's background music.
Background music. The news is gonna come through. There's certain music that comes in.
Correct.
So that's production music. So obviously, if you're writing for production, you won't expect to earn from a live distribution, for example.
Correct.
So there's certain distributions where you will earn, but there's certain distributions where you won't earn. So the essence is when you understand what you do, you know that I expect to earn in that one. But the essence is that we've got that schedule, which gives you all the distributions. But it's important for me to say that the biggest distributions, which we call the biggest primaries, are R&G and TV.
So you said the R&G is radio in general and
radio in
TV
general,
television,
and
of course.
TV.
All right.
So RNG, it's about maybe 120 million, 130 million that's distributed at that point. And then as well as TV, it's also about 100 million. So you can already tell that the biggest chunk of the distributions are in these two. Right? Everything else is just like 5 million, 20 million. So it's not as big as these.
But those two are massive,
they're massive, you know. And for us, obviously, we focus a lot of effort on those. So that's where most people would earn, because those are the biggest distributors of content, you know, your radio and TV, you know, in SA. So digital is still up and coming, right? It's a growing distribution. And I think over time, it will soon rival the likes of, you know, radio and TV. But obviously, South Africa, we're still at a point where it still has to catch up, you know. But over time, it will get there, most certainly.
Yeah. No, definitely. The world, we're going digital. That's evident, without a doubt. So,
yeah. And I think you asked an important question in terms of, you know, what are the ranges? You know, how much do people earn? So just people get
so they get value,
Yeah. So what is fantastic is that from last year, I think early last year, or was it 2019? Now the years are. But the point is, SAMRO published its rates. So when we say unit rates, we are saying, we are telling you how much you earn per second in a specific radio station or a specific TV station.
Per second.
That's per second, because that's how we calculate it. I mean that's mad, you know. But I mean, for somebody in this industry, that is information you need to know, to say, so if it's radio, for example, if it's Metro FM or 5FM pays 40 cents per second. That's worthy information.
Absolutely.
You know, versus there could be another radio station right there at the bottom where you find it pays maybe 0.002, you know? So it's not even a cent. You know what I mean? But that comparison allows you to see that even playing one song at maybe a station like, let's say, 5FM or Metro FM could be the equivalent of maybe 500 plays of your song in a smaller station.
The community radio stations and the
radio station. So people need to see that. But what it relates to is that you know, we've got members that earn. I mean, we've got obviously different types of members, but now I'm focusing on actual composers and writers. I mean, guys, this is not small change. There are people that earn in the ranges of about 2 million rands, you know, every single year, just from. And this is passive income. And this is not a guy that
you've done the job. You've written the song. You've composed the song. The job is done.
He's done. And it's passive. Too bar, you know. But at the same time, you'll still find, there's a guy who goes as low as, you know, 20 rands. So there's a huge spectrum. There's a huge spectrum. The only thing is that I would like to leave people with is that, guys, the way royalties work is that we pay for play. That's the best way of remembering.
The work needs to be active.
Correct. If it's not active, you can't get paid. So you need your job, you and your publisher, to make sure that you get performances. The work must be used out there. The more it's used, you stand a better chance of increasing your royalty income. That's it.
Beautiful.
You know, it's
simple.
Not complicated.
There's no science. That is it. It's as simple as that.
That's it.
So it just shows the work that needs to be done, and because that's why I often do say that guys don't realize. People think music is a lot easier. Like they think you just make a song, you put it out, and you expect money. But there's so much work and that's where we've talked about it, about how we need to treat this as a business now. We need to understand and check the boxes of all the different things that need to be done to make sure that you really get a return on investment. Because like any business, you invest your time making a song. There's money, studio, all these. You're investing money into all these things, and yet I mean, not even yet, but and then anything you invest time, money, resource, you expect a return on it, and the only way to do that is to make sure that you're checking all the boxes.
And the big thing is also opportunity cost. You could have done something else with all of that,
Absolutely.
but now you chose to do this. So, there is an opportunity cost there. So you can't just say, no. You need to make sure that it works.
That's it. That's perfect. And then the next point, so we're still on royalties. So I think the next point I'd like to ask is, so when works aren't registered, when works aren't being notified now, then that means there's unpaid royalties that you guys might be sitting with. So what happens with these unpaid royalties, actually? That's what I'd like to know, because I know that I always stress the importance of metadata. It always comes down to metadata. And I know that on this continent, we've got a problem with doing metadata, which is the stock information.
Sure.
So I just want people to really understand why, if you don't do metadata, how that affects you. And it makes you catch an L. you're catching losses. Yeah. So maybe can you share a bit on that, on unpaid royalties?
So there's firstly two types, and I know a lot of people focus on the one type, right?
Yeah.
The two types that I'm referring to, there's one where you find what you've just mentioned, where you're saying the work itself is not registered, but there's a worse off type where the member and the work is not registered.
Hey,
right?
okay.
So let's start off with the worst one, where these two things are missing. So in the industry, that's often called NS, so the non-society, right? So meaning the member does not have a society at all. So, and I'm not just talking about SA, I'm talking about throughout the world.
Anyway.
Because when we look, we look and we say, okay, here's this gent. You've got a name, whoever you are, you have performances. Radios are giving us and saying, we use this song, right? From this guy. We look throughout the world, that IPI that I was talking about, we're like, hey, we want to pay you. Even if you are in Ghana, even if wherever.
We want to pay you.
Nothing. You find nothing. That's the worst type. So what happens, you will see even in our distributions, there's something we call an NS payment.
Okay.
What that means is that we firstly didn't have you. So what SAMRO tries to do, we try to literally find you. Like, seriously, I've got people that go and try and hunt you down. Like, dude, you think I'm kidding? They go on Facebook and all this sort of thing to find you and say, who are you? And based on the information that we have, we want to find you so that register. It doesn't have to be SAMRO, it can be in any society.
But just register.
Yeah, because we've got money here for you, right? And you'll be surprised how many people there are. And even these, guys that are coming through, they've got a hit. They haven't even registered as a society, and their money just sits there. So that's the worst kind. So this one, you've got two problems: the member themselves and the works. That's that one. So whatever I'm going to explain further with this one will obviously be the same
crossover.
This one. Yeah,
correct.
So this one then, where fine, the members registered themselves, but their works are not registered. The challenge then becomes that we put this money in a suspense account. So what that is called is undocumented works. Right? Yeah. So meaning we don't really know who this song belongs to. We've received the money for it, and it was part of a distribution, but we are saying, okay, we need to just put it there up until somebody claims it.
All right.
And therein is now a requirement, a call to action, because SAMRO has said, we have run our processes. Because you didn't register your song, and sometimes not just the member's fault. Undocumented works could be, your song not being registered, or sometimes you registered your song, but the radio or the TV called it something slightly different. So you called your song, I love you, I love you B, but they just call it I love you, and they just leave out that important component. So now we put it somewhere else. When we put it in the suspense account, we wait for you to come and tell us this is mine.
That's it.
Or you come and register it. So in another perspective, if you haven't registered the song at all, when you come and register it, and when we run a distribution, we'll pick it up and say, we've been waiting for this song. Now we can match it and we can pay.
Pay out.
But what SAMRO has done in terms of the undocumented works, we have now put, once you're a member of SAMRO, when you go into our portal, you can firstly then go to our undoc, and you can see the works that are unregistered. Obviously, the system will give you works that are close enough to either your name. That's the first thing it will do. It will say, it looks at your name, it will say, we've got something that maybe, you've got a first name and a last name, but we've got something that matches this first name. Let's give it to you. Maybe it might be yours. And then after that, once you are done with that, you can start searching by title. So it will give you whatever title you add, it will give you songs that, may have part of that. Because remember that example I made, I love you, B. So that B was not there. So it will give you that I love you, and you'll be like, my song played here at this station, whatever. Submit that, we will do our validations and then pay it out to you. So we've tried to make it easier for members so that they can get their works sorted out. But I have to add, it works when your actual works are registered. Not registering your works is literally you just shooting yourself in the foot, because you can't get paid without
Can you say what is registering your work actually? Let's just quickly, what is that? Or whether you're saying registering or whether you're notifying your work, what is that?
Okay. So it is simply informing the society of a few things. And I'll tell you where you can do it. You're informing them to say, this is the title of my song is X, whatever the title is. And then you're informing them who are the creators of that song and the share splits for those creators. It could be you, 100%, or it could be 5 guys. But we need to know who are then those particular creators of that song. And then from there on, you are simply then saying, you acknowledge that this is yours, so that in case it's disputes or anything, we know who to go to. That's essentially what you're doing. That's the basics.
That's it.
How you do it, you can do it either via the portal. There's a mechanism for you to notify. It takes you, it's a wizard. It just walks you through it. It's very simple. And then the other one is that it would be via paper format. If you're old school, you can still go on our website, download the form, complete the documents, email it to our customer contact center, come to the building, give it to us. So that's up to you. But the essence is that you're telling us title and then the creators in the song and also the share splits. That's what you're giving us.
Okay, so that's notifying and registering. And you've been mentioning portal quite a bit, actually, and I just actually want to talk about, I want to see what is this portal? So when I become a member, are you saying that you then, you give me login details and a portal, and what is this portal? What's the purpose of this portal? Because it feels like a very transparent, a very good, transparent thing that's there. So what is the portal?
Listen, I think the future, especially for me, from a member services perspective, is to add as many self-help services in this portal as possible.
Make it easy.
Every single year, you'll be surprised. Even this year, I'm already working on things that I'm adding in there. Like we are not running out of ideas. It's just that you only have so many systems people to do this thing. But the end game is that you should be able to do everything you want to do on this portal, similar to online banking. People should think of it like that.
Beautiful.
Online banking, before you and I had to walk into a bank for almost everything. Nowadays, you can buy a car, you can buy a house, you can do anything.
On the phone.
On the phone or just online, pre-approve of this and then So that's the whole idea. So what the portal has, the portal firstly provides you with the basics. The basics are you can update your details, right? You can update your next of kin and so forth. Secondly, you are able to then notify new work. So every time you create artists work at night, we just did a song. And guys, let me tell you something. The best time to notify a song is after you have created it.
If that's the best time.
Big hit, and then you want to notify.
So that's where the problem starts.
I deal with a lot of disputes. Why? Because gents are now like, whoa, no, I can't accept the 20%. I want the 35%. So guys,
and when a dispute happens, the money freezes. The money doesn't go anywhere.
So literally, like, you're done with this track, you're happy. The SAMRO portal doesn't sleep. Just say, hey, homies, you do it on your phone, quick.
Pa, pa, pa,
Let
pa,
me
pa,
log
pa.
on. It's quick. It takes you literally 2 minutes.
Aye.
Notify the saying, hey, buddy, we agree, right? This song is split like this. Notify, done. And it's out of your hair. Yeah. So you are able to do that, notify anytime, obviously. And then the other big thing is that you're able to also view your statements, so financial statements, you know, going back just to see, okay, how is this song earning and from where and all those sort of things. You can track all of that, right? And obviously you can extract it so you can play around with the data if you want. And also you can view all the works, so meaning all the works that you've registered, get a registry of everything that we have in our system. And then if something is missing, you can obviously notify it. And obviously the big thing that I've been referring to would be the portal undock, where you can go there and search for the undock and then notify any undock that might be there. So I think these are the key things about this portal. Obviously, there's a host of things, like even the unit rates that I was referring to. We've got that in the portal. You can literally see how much does SABC1 pay, how much does YFM pay. You can see that per second and say, so if I'm sitting here and my music is playing, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. And a big one, that I need to share is that we are currently in a process of partnering with a music monitoring service provider. So simply meaning we are going to improve the accuracy of our data to the yield. That's the whole intention. So that literally people are paid as correctly as possible. But therein comes that point that you were talking about, that metadata stuff. If you don't have your music there, you are stuffed.
It's as good as not having anything.
And it's free for you to load it, because once SAMRO gets this partnership, we are literally going to say, and you'll see comms is going to come out, by the way, it's going to come out to say, guys, there is, go to that page, update your song, and then your metadata, right? Everyone must do that. So I expect around about March or so, that is going to hit, and it's free. Like, you don't have to do it, and you're not paying. Just load it up so that hey, I'm good.
Cover yourself. And this is what I'm saying, that we need a group of people just to put their hands up and say, okay, this is the shit we're going to deal with, actually. Because you let the creators continue, be creative, then maybe that person, maybe the creators are doing their thing, and in studio, there's that one guy, and we need to start finding who's that one guy who we can say, okay, you're going to be the one who will log on and just cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, guys, what are the splits? Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, and out, and done, did it. It's so necessary. So just going back to unpaid royalties quickly, and then we'll go to the next one. So how long is there a time period where you guys like hold on to the money? Is there a time period, and then after a while, you guys have to say, hey, like we can't keep the purpose of a CMO is to distribute. We're not here to hold on to money.
So currently it's 5 years, right?
Okay.
So we literally allow you to claim up to 5 years. However, we've revised that rule. So aligning to the prescription sort of like rules within SA to 3 years. But that is only going to be in effect from the next financial year, that is from July this year. Right. So meaning anyone that goes now, you can see all the way up to 5 years, right? 5 years back. And
so from 2016. From 2016,
no,
if you were to do it today.
2015. We count 2015. So that means 2015, they would still be able to claim for that, right?
Beautiful.
And I know the way you are looking at that going 2021, but we look at it in terms of our distribution cycles, not really where you are
now today.
So, but the point is that it's an important point that you're raising, that because of that change, it's vital that people kick into motion and they do this thing now, because up until July, it goes back all the way 5 years. Afterwards, it's going to be 3 years. So and I mean, we try as hard as we can to distribute what we can identify. But if we can't, you need to play your part, or be it your publisher. You need to play your part to make sure you process that. And
playing your part is actually, I'm going to take that into the next question, where Well, this question is going to be almost like two parts, but the main job is to ask you, what are the challenges? What are the just issues that you see? And I think that, and when you think playing your part, sometimes I feel the industry kind of sits back. I feel where they just expect the CMOs to do things. They expect SAMRO to do things, but there is actually a responsibility on me, the member, to do things. And I mean, even where there's that open dialogue and communication, whether like the AGMs, for example, people aware that if you remember, there's an AGM that happens annually where you have a voice. Actually voice and ask questions to understand like where are these royalties, how is this going to be collected, what's happening, and these things don't happen. But I think playing your part is a big thing, and maybe so it's not only just, I'm not just asking you for the challenges, but maybe potential solutions, and you think that this is what we need to do in order for us to, I mean, just fix ourselves in the industry.
I mean, one thing that I've heard the industry raise a lot of times is the amount of foreign content on our sort of like radio stations or TV stations, right? And it's a weird thing that no one is going to come from outside the industry and solve this thing.
No one.
Because
why?
If it's affecting the industry has to be the one that comes up with a solution and literally engages all the different stakeholders. I know there's multiple. There's ICASA, there's the SABC, there is also government, there is,
But if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
No one else will do it. So what needs to happen is that the industry needs to literally, create a movement that's going to say, guys, we need this, and we believe this is fair for us to ask, and they need to literally have a business case that says, why is this thing right? So what I can balance that with quickly is the fact that anytime you hear a Beyonce or Jay-Z or Kanye West or whoever's song on radio, we pay. So from that revenue that I told you about, some of that money goes overseas.
It goes.
We have to pay them. We can't say, no, we only pay South Africans because
no.
Because anytime a song plays that side, let's take a popular one now, like Jerusalem. They send the money as well this side. So you pay everyone based on usage. So usage is a real commodity. Like people need to understand that this thing is a commodity. It's not just a thing. So that movement, I think it's a problem, but this is not just a SAMRO thing. It's literally an industry thing. Like, guys, if we get this right, trust me, it's first step.
It will change the game, because I've seen the money that just exchanged internationally is insane.
Correct. Because there's a lot of, South Africa uses a lot of American and UK content, right? So if you look at the distributions that go there, from royalties, you can see that, so we consume a lot of this content. So if we can take a bit of that, yes, you'll still want some music to come through here, but take a bit of that. We don't have to use as much content, because I can guarantee you they don't sign us a check as big as the one that we sign them. I can tell you that for a fact, right? They don't use as much of our content as we use of theirs.
Correct.
So we need to think about that a bit. So from our perspective, that movement needs to exist. Amen. The next one, I think something simple that you've mentioned, the AGMs, right?
Yes.
And just beyond that. But the thing is that artists don't take interest in these forums. Correct. It's only when, I don't know, it's something topical that somebody will engage with on social media or something like that, but not necessarily coming into a forum that can actually make things happen. An AGM, all the necessary forums that are put there. Because remember, your SAMROs are member-led organizations. The board is appointed by members. The board is even formed of members. So for you to change things, there is a platform, but you don't see much participation. For example, SAMRO has about, like I said, 100,000 members. Yes, only the 20,000 are voting members. Those are the ones that can come to the AGM. But in an AGM, you will find about 250 to 300 people. So from 20,000, and I know, yes, they're scattered all around the country, but still, that's like, wow.
Guys,
come on.
We need to do better, guys.
And then we look at participation. Even the people that are there to say, do we really have robust participation? No.
Yes.
It's maybe those 30 people that are actually participating. So it's important for us to get into this and really know that this is your industry protected, and make sure
Yes.
that you play a big part in it. And
Absolutely.
that's what we should be focused on. And I think before people want to deal with the nitty-gritties, let's deal with these big things,
Yeah.
because they will help us. Once we get to the nitty-gritties, it becomes easier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, like the industry needs to now take a bit of accountability itself, because I know sometimes there's a lot of, I feel, finger pointing, and they expect the
Yeah.
CMOs just to answer. But the fact is, you can also find solutions. As in, it's not just
Yes.
about witch hunting anymore. Let's work together to find solutions. Let's attend AGMs and contribute and ask questions, and ask not
Yes.
questions to incite fights and the like, but
No.
questions to genuinely like see
To
how can we find
move
solutions for
us
the
forward.
betterment. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, 100%, and that's so key. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there, I even said, I think even in another conversation, I was saying, I don't know, why aren't we seeing composer like bodies, like guilds and collectives, where
Yeah.
at least if
Yeah.
everyone is too busy, at least there must be at least a collective of people who can attend the AGM and ask these questions and say like A, B, C,
Correct.
D. We've seen this
Correct.
happening. How does this affect us? Because that's what happens at the AGM. People, it's open dialogue. Financials are shared. All these things, but
Yeah.
people, we
Yeah.
don't even, or the industry don't. Let me say, either we don't know or we don't care enough. But that has to change. That's the
Yeah.
movement
And
we're talking about.
even just resolutions are shared to say, because members can say, no, no, no. They can literally put a resolution forward. We want this.
Ah,
You must do this. It's so you can literally change the strategy of an organization through that forum.
it's
But
there.
but but people don't literally participate, and
Mm,
it's important that they do participate.
no,
It's very important
100%.
because it is your organization at the end of the day.
That's it. As a member, it is your organization. As a member,
Yes,
you're responsible.
yes,
So and okay, perfect. And also, I think I also want to touch on some of these illegal sites and platforms, because these are the animals which I feel that the industry doesn't understand, and we end up feeding these beasts, but we don't understand how it actually robs us. Because
mm,
some of these platforms, the likes of Fakaza and the like, I mean, they're earning money. They're making money
yeah,
off your
yeah,
work. However, you're not
ads,
seeing a cent,
yeah.
and you are seeing it as exposure. So I mean, can we touch on that as also as an issue? Just like why we really need to start these illegal sites. We need to put a stop to it.
Yeah, I think firstly, the thing for me is that I've spoken to even, sort of musicians and said, but why do you do it?
Hmm.
And often the answer that comes through is that, listen, it's a promotion mechanism.
Yeah, exposure,
That's often,
promotion.
yeah, exposure. Yeah, that's, and the thing is that, it's interesting how we value this exposure thing. To say that,
Hmm.
are we really saying that the only way to attain that exposure is through that? Because I'll say there's many sites that do this, where there's a lot of DSPs that have a freemium sort of
Yes.
platform where
Hmm.
like Spotify, for example, is the biggest one, right?
Correct.
You can literally go on Spotify, and you are not yet a premium or whatever they call it, premium sort of
Paying.
subscriber,
Yeah.
paying member, but you can still get, like,
Access.
legit content. Yeah. So my thing is that you know what, we need, because if you want exposure, you can still get into those sort of
Hmm.
avenues
It's
and still
there.
have the exposure, but at least you are capacitating an avenue. I'm not saying, just go to Spotify, but it's about an avenue that has potential to ensure that you earn.
There we go.
That one, there's zero potential for you
Nothing.
earning. Zero, zero. So you are
But earnings are
literally
happening.
creating value. Yeah, and the problem is that you are creating value because everybody thinks that song is valuable, right? It
Yes.
has potential. You're
Hmm.
creating value, but you're giving it away for free with the hope, because it's hope. It's not
It's
business. Business is
with
not
hope.
about hope.
No,
Business
business
doesn't
is
work
the
on hope.
strategy. There's focus with business.
Yes, yes. You need a strategy and a technique, like it's some technical
Aha.
aspects to it, and then a
Intent.
plan. That's
Yes.
business. Now people are basing it on hope. Yeah, I'm hoping that, like, no, see, now this is not business. You are
No.
not speaking like a businessman.
No.
So if you look at it from a business context, you don't give value away unnecessarily, where you don't expect value back as well. So meaning give it to an avenue where there is potential for me to actually get value back, because once your work has good content and people go to these legitimate sort of platforms like your Spotify, they hear your songs, and you can still get the analytics of it. Then you can start to see as well, you know what, in this area, that area, you're able then to start crafting your promotional mechanism and say, this is where I need to go for me to actually make money. And sooner or later, there's more people that subscribe to those avenues, then you start to earn better royalties because they're listening to your song. But the other one, there's literally zero. Like it's a game of hope, and that's the weird part about it, And understand to some degree, it's a level of desperation where people feel like, I'm really desperate. But it's like, guys, it just says you haven't thought about it well enough. You think about it well enough, you will not actually pursue that avenue because that's what I call a losing strategy. Yes, you might have a strategy, but it's a losing strategy because it's not adding to you, it's just taking. So try and go with this legitimate platform because over time it will pay off. And that's what we need to focus on.
Amen to that. Yeah, no, I'm 100% with that. And then next thing, so as you said, SAMRO is one of on the continent, the biggest, it is the biggest and let's say the oldest CMO. And there are a lot of non-South Africans, for example, in South Africa. And actually even out of South Africa. And I mean, a lot of people, and even in other countries, in other territories, sometimes the challenges, the structures aren't there, whereas something like SAMRO has been in existence and it's functioning. Can non-South Africans still come and register with the likes of a SAMRO? But also, is there also if you register with SAMRO, is there anything you might lose on in terms of royalties in your territory as well? Or
okay, cool. Yeah. I get you. So simple answer, yes. Non-South Africans can register with SAMRO, right? We have plenty of people in other, geographical areas who are SAMRO members.
Yeah.
So the way you can do it as well is that you can split your membership by territory. So remember that IPI. So going back to that IPI, the IPI will also reflect which territories it covers. Normally, SAMRO by default will cover you for the world. But you can come and say, I only want you to cover me for South Africa only. Or for all of Africa except, let's say, Ghana, just as an example. And we just literally tailor it, and then we do that, and that's it. So you could literally craft it whichever way you like. It's not to say, it's one size fits all.
Yeah.
Yes, so the simple answer is that, yes, we do, register non-South Africans, and you can craft it whichever way you want, in terms of the territories. And you can literally be a member of a certain society in that territory, but have SAMRO representing for other, sort of territories. You could actually do that. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm actually getting to my final question for now. Just how do I become a member? Like, can we register online to become a member? As in, obviously, we can't walk in the door anymore like we used to once upon a time. But what's the easy? How does someone become a member at SAMRO? What's the process? If you could just maybe talk us through the journey of how do I become a member?
Yeah.
And what do I need to have ready with me when I'm becoming a member as well?
So, I mean, we've worked on making the membership process very simple because, before it was a bit clunky. Yeah. So, firstly, the avenues that we have, you can do it via email, right? So, email, meaning you fill out a form, it's on our website. When you go to forms, and then you just sort of put all the membership forms under one thing. Yeah. So you fill that out. You send it via email to customerservices@samro.org.za.
Nice.
Or you complete it online. So still on the website, you can complete it online. It will allow you to go through something similar to that form, but just walk you through the different stages. And then from there on, and then the last one would be the physical one, right? But where you visit the SAMRO offices, obviously, to drop off the forms. What you need in these, the primary thing, besides giving us your personal details, you need to give us your personal details, but as well, you need to register at least one song. So you can't just sort of wake up and say, I want to be a SAMRO member, and then I'll register my song next thing. No.
No.
You need to already have one song at the least that you can say. You don't have to own the whole song, but you own a part of it, or the whole thing, whatever it is. But you need to at least register one song, personal details, register at least one song, give us your ID number or passport number, and the actual copy of the passport, or ID, so that obviously we can validate, because we do check that. Say, it's actually you, because at the end of the day, remember that IPI, we need to make sure that you're a real person that we are registering. So we do that. Before, we used to take bank account details at this point. So we are not taking them anymore, because remember, we only pay you when you've earned up to 100 rands. So then we will send you a letter. So it's important that your contact details are always updated, right? We will send you a letter via email or even an SMS for you to literally provide us with your latest bank account details. What we have found, the reason why we did it that way, composers' banking details change a lot sometimes. So it's of no value, because whatever you gave us sometimes a year ago, before we make a payment, we need to still validate in any way to say,
make sure,
are these still your bank accounts? Right? So we can't assume. That's the challenge that we have. So that's why I said, do away with that, because you're not going to use it now. Only when you're about to pay, then the person submits, and then we use that to pay. So that's essentially what we need. Fine. If you have a publisher, however, we would obviously need the agreement, with you and your publisher. That's the only difference there. If you have a publisher, so give us the agreement as well, attach it, so that when we register, we know that we link you with that publisher already on our system. And then when the payments go through, you share whatever share splits that you guys agreed upon. But that's as simple as it is, for you to actually register as a SAMRO member.
And what is the website? It's just as simple as
www.samro.org.za. So that's literally that. .org.za. So if you just type samro.org.za, it just comes up. Boom.
And the access is there. Thank you. All right, boss man. No,
always a pleasure,
I know we can talk for hours, but I know people's attention span these days. We're not the same no more. But honestly, I would love to actually do this again with you, to actually talk in some other touch points and talk in more detail. However, I am so appreciative of the time.
The next time we speak, we must also cover agreements, because almost like signing these things, and then later I come to CMO, it's like, what is this?
You signed this. No. That in signatures. I mean, agreements definitely is another very important thing that needs to be touched on. But I just want to say thank you. And as I said, I before, as in offline, I said that I'm going to get you your Know Better, Do Better MOTI shirt. So you need to just let me know the sizes and which color, whether you want the black or the white fitted. It's so good. I got you.
The black.
Sunday. No, Mr. Karabo, again, thanks so much for your time. When we know better, we do better. And this is all for the betterment of the industry at the end of the day. So thank you so much for being a part of this, man.
Pleasure, buddy. Thanks, man. Thanks for your time.
Bless up. Have a good one. Bye.